For the next few minutes, I want you to let go of everything. No scrolling, no distractions, just you and this moment. Because what I am about to tell you is not some casual advice or surface-level motivation. It is a shift. A shift so powerful that if you truly listen, you will feel something move inside you. Something real. I have seen it happen in my own life. The moment I stopped chasing, stopped begging for signs, stopped doubting myself, everything began to change. Not slowly, but instantly, like the universe had just been waiting for me to step aside. And I want that for you. I want you to feel that calm certainty, that magnetic stillness that brings everything to you without force. If you have ever felt tired of trying so hard and getting so little, this is for you. Because this is not about doing more, it is about finally letting go. So before we begin, if this message resonates with you, if you are ready to stop pushing and start receiving, do one thing for me. Subscribe to this channel. Help this message reach others who are still trapped in the noise, the hustle, the chaos. Together, we will remind the world that peace is power. And now, let us begin. Part 1. Stop chasing. You have been taught to chase. To strive. To hustle. To make things happen by sheer force. But chasing only proves one thing to the universe. That you do not believe you already have it. And that energy of lack, of wanting, of needing, is what keeps what you want forever out of reach. Think back to the times in your life when something you wanted more than anything simply refused to happen. You obsessed over it. You tried every trick. You stayed up late, made the plan, visualized every outcome. But it never came. And then remember those moments when something beautiful just appeared without effort. You were not waiting for it. You were not thinking about it. It just arrived. Effortlessly. This is not a coincidence. This is reality responding to your state of being. Because the truth is, the more you look for proof, the more you remind yourself it is missing. Every time you check your phone hoping for a message, every time you analyze the signs, you are reinforcing the idea that it is not yours. And reality always reflects your belief. You are not attracting what you want. You are attracting what you are. And if who you are is desperate, uncertain, needy, then life will mirror that. That is why you must stop chasing. Not to give up, but to step into certainty, into knowing, into the energy of already having it. Imagine for a moment that it was already done, that it was already yours. Would you still be anxious? Would you still be checking every hour? No. You would breathe. You would relax. You would trust. That trust is the signal that changes everything. It is not about pretending you do not want it. It is about becoming the man who no longer needs to prove he deserves it. He simply assumes it is his. And then moves forward like it is already true. That shift, from chasing to knowing, is the beginning of mastery. It is not passive. It is powerful. It is not giving up. It is alignment. Because once you stop chasing, you stop blocking. You create space for life to bring it in. And from that space, all things flow. Part 2. Stay in the state. The hardest part is not letting go. It is staying gone. Anyone can stop chasing for a moment. Anyone can say I let go. But then an hour passes. A day. Maybe 2. And that little voice creeps in. Where is it? Why has nothing changed? Why do I feel like nothing is happening? That is the test. That is the exact moment where most people collapse back into the old self. The one who waits. Who doubts. Who checks for proof. Who secretly believes it is still missing. But if you really understood this power, if you truly grasped how reality responds to your energy, then you would never let that voice control you again. You would see it for what it is. A trick. A trap. Because the moment you question the timing, you step out of the state. You re-enter the vibration of not having. And the universe mirrors that. Again. And again. So how do you hold the state? How do you stay in the energy of already having what you want even when nothing has changed? You make peace with not knowing. That is the secret. You stop obsessing over the how. You surrender the when. You stop micromanaging the unfolding. You let go of needing the future to arrive in a certain way. You stop checking the clock. You stop looking for signs. Because when you live in the end, you are not waiting for anything. You are not seeking proof. You are not hoping. You are knowing. And knowing is silent. It is still. It is steady. It is unshakable. You sit in that silence and smile. You remind yourself that everything is aligning perfectly behind the scenes. And you stay still. You keep your power in your chest. You breathe. You trust. You live. Because when you truly assume the wish fulfilled, you no longer chase signs. You create them. You no longer ask when. You already know. You no longer beg the universe. You walk as if it is done. And that is the real test of faith. Not begging. Not pleading. But being still in the silence. And knowing that silence is sacred. That silence is where reality is shifting for you. Let others panic. Let others doubt. Let them post, and compare, and chase the wind. You are done with that. You are living as the man who already has what he once desired. That is how you win. Not by force. But by certainty. Not by searching. But by standing. And in that state of calm knowing, everything begins to chase you. Part 3. Anchoring the state. You have already stopped chasing, you have stepped into the energy of already having it, and you are learning to let the silence breathe without interfering. But this is where most people collapse. They start off strong. They feel aligned. But then the silence creeps in. Doubt shows up dressed as logic. That voice in your mind starts asking, where is it? Why isn't anything changing? Did I do something wrong? This is the moment of truth. Because the real test is not when you feel powerful. The real test is what you do when everything is quiet. Anchoring the state means deciding that nothing needs to happen right now for you to stay in alignment. It means trusting so deeply that even when you see nothing, you know something is happening beneath the surface. Reality isn't stagnant, it's recalibrating. The world around you is slowly aligning itself with the inner world you have finally claimed. So instead of asking where your desire is, ask yourself a better question. Who am I when I already have it? What does my life feel like when I stop checking, stop needing, stop explaining? This is not pretending. This is becoming. Anchoring the state means embodying the version of yourself who is already there. Walk the same. Speak with calm certainty. Make decisions not from scarcity but from abundance. Because when you start acting from a place of having, not waiting, you tell reality to respond in kind. Most people look for proof before they believe. But you must believe before you ever see proof. That is the paradox. That is the art. And that is where the shift becomes permanent. So when silence visits you, when the void makes you anxious, remind yourself that nothing is wrong. Nothing is broken. This silence is sacred. It is the space in which your desire is taking form. It is not a void. It is a womb. And the longer you can sit in it without collapsing, the stronger your manifestation becomes. So anchor yourself. Sit in it. Breathe. Let the waves pass. Because soon, what you imagined will be standing in front of you, wondering how it found its way into your life so perfectly. Part 4. The final shift, this is it. The place where everything either clicks into place or slips through your fingers. You have stopped chasing. You have assumed the state. You have anchored it through silence. Now comes the final shift, the decision to let go of all remaining attachment. This is not surrender in weakness. This is surrender in power. The moment you choose to trust reality so deeply that you no longer demand updates, that is when you win. It is no longer about forcing, affirming, scripting, obsessing. It is about becoming. You walk like it is done. You speak like it is done. You feel like it is already yours, not because you're faking, but because you know. This knowing becomes your new home. You live there now. And when old thoughts creep in, when your mind reaches back to the habits of fear and scarcity, you smile. Not because it's easy, but because you are no longer available for doubt. This is the final shift. You stop begging life to show you something and instead, you show life who you really are. You no longer respond to what is missing. You respond to what you are becoming. That is how the timeline changes. Not when you wait for signs, but when you become the sign. Your detachment is no longer strategy. It is your natural state. Your power is no longer something you try to access. It is who you are. And the universe, reality, whatever you want to call it, begins to reflect that truth. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. The final shift is not something you do. It is the decision to do nothing and trust that everything is already on its way. And when that becomes who you are, there is nothing left to chase. Only to receive. You felt it, haven't you? That subtle shift. The quiet clarity that doesn't shout, but moves like thunder beneath your skin. This wasn't just another lesson. It was a return. A reminder of who you really are beneath all the noise, the doubt, the chase. You don't need to scramble. You don't need to prove. You don't need to beg anything or anyone. All you ever had to do was become. And now, you know exactly how. So I want you to make this real. Right now. Type it in the comments below, I trust the silence. Let it be more than words. Let it be your new truth. Because when you trust the silence, you allow the impossible. You create space for the miraculous. And you stop needing the world to validate what you already feel inside. If this message resonated with you, if something in you awakened, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who's still chasing. Someone who's still searching. Help them come home to themselves too. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Because here, we don't just speak truth, we live it. And this journey, it's just getting started. Stay still. Stay certain. And let it all come to you.